So before the break, we did. Where did they go? Nope. We did URL helpers, so that we don't have to worry so much about the URLs when we're doing the HTML, that we can just kind of tell the helper, hey, give me the right URL. We didn't use it very much. It's mostly useful when we get to like crazy complex URLs, but it's nice to like start getting used to it. Then we did migrations, which are how we change the structure of the database. So creating tables, removing tables, adding columns, renaming columns, because the app itself isn't allowed. And that's basically so that we don't risk destroying the database in the middle of the app. There were quite a few moving parts to that. Your migration file, you need to run it with week2day2 migrate. But yeah, okay, so that was quite a long story, so maybe not summarize it again. I think we covered everything that I'll cover with migrations for today. We're going to do it, like it'll come up again and again and again. So yeah, if they don't make a huge amount of, or if they make a reasonable amount of sense but you don't 100% get them, that's fine. Incidentally, on that topic, if you ever need to make a copy, like a backup of the database, where did mine go? All you have to do is basically copy that file somewhere and just call it like blah 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 backup. I quite like the giving it the day's date, like 05:05. So then if I end up with 20 of them, it's not like copy 1, copy 2, copy 3. I can go, okay, that was from 4 days ago. But it's just a habit. But yeah, so this file is just a normal file. You can copy it around, you can email it to somebody, whatever.
This is a bit of a stupid question, but could you name examples of how you use a database? Like with what in a website?
Yep.
I think I got it, but it's not quite.
Let's look. Actually, this might work. Oh, balls. Oh, wait, give me a minute. Okay, well, that's working. Version backups. Oh, I haven't done backups in a long time. Alright, here we go. Oh, this is rubbish. Oh. Alright, so I will show you that, but in a minute. Because I broke the site that I was going to show you. Okay, welcome I'm talking about while that's waiting. Databases.
Well, maybe just Amazon is fine. Like, how does it store? Like, does it have the products in the database, or is?
Well, this might work now. Hold on. Well, I'll give this like a 30-second try and see what happens. Okay, that's better. Alright, that's not better. Oh, no, that's broke. Alright, well, that's totally broke. Okay, so let's take a look at Amazon. Does it remember? Oh, okay, it doesn't.
You won't see it in the source code, really.
No, which I guess is kind of important that
Yeah.
those two are very separated.
Mm-hmm.
Where did this go? So in the database you just store the information, and it's really like raw information, like the price is 30. Any other examples? Like an email. And then, so at one end you have raw data, and the other end you have HTML. And in the middle is the server machine, but the user never really knows that. And I guess maybe this is a good example because I know they're doing like about 20 different things. Like each of these parts is like totally different. Amazon, when they started to get big, they came up with this crazy architecture where they split every part of the site into like an independent system. So they never have to worry about like, okay, this system is going slow, now it's broken this system. And then the front end is just kind of gathering data from everything. So the basket system works totally different from like the, I don't know, gift card system and the account system and Prime and stuff. Okay, but so let's pick a simple example to start with. Camera. So they will somewhere have a table. So the products, each product has a product ID. It has a title. It has a quantity in stock and a price. Down here is like your boring information, and each one of these is just going to be a table column. Okay, this is where it gets a little bit crazier. And this is maybe a good example where it gets semi-crazy. So now you've got like the products table with like 10 rows for each, I don't know, memory card. And somewhere else there's another, well, I don't know. Somewhere there's some kind of, maybe that's a bad example, so maybe let's not pick that one. Let's look at reviews. So you have the product table, which has like the item ID and the name and the price and stuff. And then you have a reviews table. So you have 10,000, or you have 1,000 items and you have 10,000 reviews. And each review knows which, it's like a new table, and it knows which product it's linked to.
Okay, would you like with
I can give like a super quick
And so
example.
every time someone gives a review, it will be added, like it will be making like a
Yes.
review create function, and then it goes in there. And if
Yep.
someone adds a new product, because on Amazon I think users can also post products.
Yes, but it's up to them. Well, I can give this example. So this is something with activities of things to do, and each activity has an ID. And then this is people, or so the idea of this site that I was going to show you. Actually, let's just give it a quick check. Yeah, okay.
Yay.
So this is a site that I built that no one has used in a long time. Well, so I used to work for a company called Better Place, and they do donations. Like that's basically they are it's like Kickstarter for charities. So they work with other charities to do the donation side. And they have like a public API that you can donate
That's nice.
to people through them. And as part of a hack day, I built this silly thing that you can pick, like, I don't know, if you donate €3, I will do 10 sit-ups. Or stupid stuff. I'll send you compliments. I don't know. I thought it was cool. No one ever used it. Never mind. Well, yeah. Anyway, long story. And this is the database behind it. So from you as a user, like a normal person user, you know nothing about databases. You don't care about HTML. You just see, here's a thing I can click on. Here's a form I can fill in. This work? I hope it doesn't demand. And it goes off to the better place thing to do donation. And then I get an email at the end. Okay, but then back to programmer land. So let's see, we've got a list of activities. And in the background, these are stored in the activities table. So there's number 1, draw your picture. Price is 3. Oh no, wait, do 10 sit-ups. So it's 3. Owner is which user, which is me, and that is the description and details. Quick point, so you don't see the description and details here because I chose not to, but then here you do see the description and details. So you can have lots and lots of data in the database that you don't show. Same again with the orders. Like who has bought what. I never really display that on the site anywhere. I think, I don't know, there's the little thing on the front. I guess I put people's names, but that's about it. Where was I going with that? So, actually, do I have multiple users yet? No, I don't. Okay, so I have orders, the things that people have like bought. So lots of people have bought number 1, which I think is the drawing. Which I think, or is it a postcard? I don't know. I think I took it down because it got really boring. People kept asking me to draw boring things. Yeah, where's postcard? So let's just look over here. So send a postcard is number 5. Okay, so 3 people bought number 5. So somebody bought number 5. So it's order number 27, but it's linked to activity 5. So it never says in this row what it, like the details. It just says, okay, go off to this table. I look up number 5 and it's send a postcard. So that's how the link works. You use the IDs.
Like funky button, but like how does it look? Can you open like one of the parts of the application when you basically use data from 2 different tables?
Yes, but because it's using Rails, it looks like magic.
Okay, we'll learn that later.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or what you end up doing is
When
just,
you build this in Rails, so
yeah, you end up doing like user dot first dot
Can't wait to do that.
activities dot last dot orders dot first dot name, and Rails figures it out for you. So we're going to do that in detail. Again, it's like when everything is named correctly, Rails just goes, aha, that is that thing. But anyway, bit of a long story. So that's the short version, that you link it with IDs.
I got it. More or less.
Is there anything else important? Yeah. Okay, so yeah, and you can kind of see it's basically the same. Because you have your show page. You kind of have an index page. CD's under 5. So they have an index page, the same way we have an index page. It's just much more complicated. They will have an edit page, but we can't click on it yet. So yeah, it's roughly the same as what we've done, but just more complex. All right, and so we get rid of that, we get rid of that, we get rid of that. So the next thing is, again, something we're stealing out of Rails just to get used to it. It's not going to work so well in Sinatra, but it's still pretty cool. Or more, it's going to be more work to make it work in Sinatra, but such is life. So we have a post. Oh, no, not that one. Oh, crap, I have too many things. Alright, so I go to the create post page. And I hit submit. Dun dun dun. It's let me create one with no content. if I do a view source, it's still putting out the h1 title and the body, but there is no content to put out. And obviously that's quite rubbish. If you start letting users do that, you'll end up with all kinds of just weird junk. And if it was Amazon, it would look really unprofessional if you like try and click on things and then there's no content. So conveniently, this active record thing that we stole from Rails has a nice tool called validations. If you guys type this, title, presence, true. And I'm just going to change one thing. So now if I submit, it should explode and say, hey, validation failed, title can't be blank. So obviously we don't end an explosion in the end, but at least we've got like the first step of the way. That it stopped me from creating a title or a post with no title. Okay, so what did I do? So inside this post, so initially I said this is how it figures out how to connect to the database. Like, it connects the post Ruby object to the database post table. But these classes are also kind of like the blueprint for an object. Like, it tells a thing what it is. Like, you tell the table you have legs, and you can do leg-related verbs. And you tell the iMac that it has the verbs switch on and switch off. Exactly what all that means gets a bit complicated, so we're going to do it later on in the course. But for the moment, it means we can put things that are like related to this post, or like the configuration for the post, inside it. And this validates comes from inside active record. And yeah, it's quite magic, but we're telling it, hey, whenever you save yourself, I want you to make sure you have a title and it should be present. We can validate quite complicated stuff later on. Like, we can validate that you must have a title and that it must be shorter than 50 letters, and the body must be between 10 and 50, or that the body does not include any swear words, or that, I don't know, it must match, like someone's date of birth has to be number slash number slash number, or whatever. Basically just to check what is the user data like. So yeah, if you guys type that one in, or you already got it, okay. And I did one.
So you could also say like it has to be string.
Yes. You can get super crazy. Rails again, it's one of these things that even after years, I've still never like come across all of them. Like, we can do, it has to match a particular format. Like an email, it has to have an @ variable. You can say it must be one item from this list. Like, you can be small, medium, or large, but you can't type in big. Length must be bigger than this, smaller than that. That it is a number or isn't a number, or that it's greater than something. That it's present. That it's not there, you can do for some bizarre reason. That it's unique is quite neat. That's good for like emails and usernames and stuff.
Never really that exists often.
Yep. And then it also lets you do like your own Ruby code. So you can do a super crazy validation, like check if this user has any Twitter tweets or whatever. So you can get really complicated if you want. But for now, let's stick with the simple stuff.
Mine didn't say anything. Did yours say title can't be blank?
Yes, because there's an extra bit. This create thing, there's 2 versions of. Actually, wait, let's do it on the tux. think you need to exit tux and restart it.
So should we make that other change?
No, we're gonna come back. Or it doesn't matter either way, we're gonna come back. So if we do post create with nothing, well, no, it's not so obvious. It's technically right, but it's not obvious what's happening.
Did it create it now? No.
I think no, because it didn't print any SQL out. Or so it didn't, and I'll come back to what did happen in a second. If I do it with the exclamation mark after create, it explodes with an error. So the first one, it tried it and stopped it from happening, but it didn't really print anything out. But it also didn't throw an error. Whereas the second one throws an error and stops it. And you use different ones depending on the situation. Because throwing an error means the users see like a big page saying, it all broke, it didn't work. Whereas that's maybe not what we want. We want to like quietly try it, and then if it didn't work, print out a message saying, hey, you forgot the title, please put it in. So for the moment, I'm going with the just explode version, just to see the messages. Like, because I temporarily don't care. I want to make it work nicely in a minute, but right now I just want it to go like, show me what's happening. So yes, so now I put in that exclamation mark, and you should see the error.
Maybe I have to, no, shouldn't need to restart.
Oh, you'll need to do it on the create, because we didn't change the edit yet. One thing is this won't affect existing ones. So if you already have blank ones, it won't care. It's only literally when it tries to save it or create it.
Can you show me that text real quick? I have to restart.
So one was without the exclamation, and one was with it. And without the exclamation, it doesn't create it in the database, but it doesn't really print anything out. And then the other one was with the exclamation mark. It will try it and explode with a big error. And the error will be validation title count blank. Okay, but did everybody get that working? Where if you put an exclamation mark?
I have some new site. So like right.
Hmm? That's the exclamation mark. That's the exclamation. Yeah.
But this one running a new page.
Well, it's saying syntax error when you touch the whole file group.
Oh.
Well, then you get the error message come out when you try to create empty post. Can you try that?
Well,
I have to start them.
Alright, good idea. Okay, so what happened there? So the wording, let's just randomly add another one. Validates body length 10 dot 100. Okay, and try that.
No break. No, that.
So now this is saying body should be between 10 letters and 100 letters. I think if
Well, that was a fail. I think that was too long already.
it did work or it didn't work.
It didn't.
Okay.
I created the one that had. I mean, it did work. Sorry.
Oh, okay. So everything is good.
It just didn't work because I didn't type something that had more in it.
Right. I think so. Just as a random aside, I think if you tell it the length should be something and it's blank, I think it still lets it through. You'll probably forget that, but I don't know. It'll come up someday.
Well, it doesn't create a post if it's blank.
It should give you an error. Do you have the exclamation mark?
No, I took it out again.
Okay. Okay, not that one. Okay, so let's change things up a little bit. So, okay, it prints out that big horrible error message, which is temporarily good, but we want something a bit nicer for real users. So I think I'll type a bit and then explain. So we're going to change post to post new and delete the exclamation mark, and then do post.save down here. And actually, yes, that came up yesterday. So .new creates it in Rubyland, but doesn't send it to the database, and it doesn't send it until you hit save. And create does those two steps in one go. Why we're going to use it will come up in a second. But that's basically what the difference is. Like, they both do the same thing in general. Create is quicker to type, but this lets you do different things. And okay, so before we had the exclamation mark, so we could put it back. So the same way you could do create exclamation, you could do save exclamation. But again, we're back to the same place of having the crazy errors. What we can do is we can do if post.save. So if it's saved, do the thing that we were going to do before, and let's temporarily just return some text. Bad data. So again, we're going to make this nicer in a minute. But so what we're saying is try and save it, and if the saving works, do the redirect, and if it doesn't work, we're going to tell the user and show them the form again. And that was why we had to split it into two parts, just so that we can do the save on its own line. If we did the create, it would get a bit weird. I don't know, actually maybe we could have done the create there. Well, anyway. Okay, so let's try out. So if you go to your form, submit it blank, you should see bad data. And it will not have succeeded. And if you fill it in, proper thing, with lots of content, when you do it the working version, you should end up at the right version. Okay, so now we've got a bit more control over the situation. Let's do. Alright, let's do ERB. So we want that when they screwed it up to show them the form again, to give them a chance to redo it. It's still going to be a bit untidy for the next minute or so. Oh, actually, no, okay, I'll come back. Okay. So temporarily what we're going to do is just re-show them the exact same new form that they filled in and give them another chance to do it. This is a good example of how we're on one page, but we're using the template for another. And also why it's nice to have these in templates, that now we can reuse it in different places. Okay, so try that one again. Oops. If you submit it, you should end up, you see the new post. You're still on create, but you see new post.
Can you show the code again?
Okay, so we try and save it. If it works, redirect. If it doesn't, ERB that old template, previous template.
So post dot date always returns true or false depending on the.
Yep. Okay, so did everybody get that? Hmm?
So,
Right, over here. Where did mine go? So in the second one, we now want to return an ERB file.
sorry.
I need to figure out how to change that color. It's really, yeah, it's really annoying to see. Okay. Yeah, so in the save, we have one path where we redirect, and instead of return valid data, we upgraded it to be ERB posts new. So this one. Actually, you can copy it from the new template. So it's literally the same as this one. And the idea is that if they get it wrong and they go to the wrong side of the we're just going to re-show them the form.
I'm getting lost because I don't know, like, they all look the same, like, what's the difference, so I keep going back and forth and then I miss what you're doing.
Yes. Yeah, that is quite tricky. I guess one clue is to always worry about what page are we in. So if we're on the create page in the browser, then we have to look for the create. So they'll always only ever be one. I don't know. I guess that doesn't help. Okay. try and be lighter about that. Alright, so now we're re-showing the form, which kind of half works. But if they fill in the body but miss the title, we end up losing the body. We don't remember the other fields. I don't know, sometimes you'll get that, like you're on a shopping site and you fill in your address and like,
and then everything is gone.
yeah, it forgets your data, and that's incredibly irritating. So we want to use the same trick we did on the edit page. So on the edit page, I'll just jump to that for a second. Oh. What? Oh. So on the edit page, whenever we're editing post number 2, we made it pre-filled with the content from post number 2. And we kind of want something similar, that if they have one blank but not the other, we remember the one that wasn't blank. And the way that we did that was in the ERB template. We pre-filled the value of the input by taking it out of the post. And in that case that made sense, because we had a post. Whenever you're editing a post, you already have a post to edit. So that gets a little bit strange on the new page, because we don't have a post to edit yet. But we can kind of cheat a little bit by using this one. Oops. Yeah, so that was quite a lot of jumps, but basically when we're on the create, we try and create a post, and then if we go to the new post, we'll try and print out this one. So first thing we need to do is put some @ variables here so that we can access it. Oops, not that one. And in the new template, oops.
Also in the redirect from
Oh yes. Yes, that's right. We need to change @post here, or it'll break. Oh, can't see again. Oh, I see we're running out of time. Oh well. Okay, so in posts create, we have the same code as before, but we've just changed it from post to @post. And what that lets us do is, in the new form, to pre-fill the values. Post title. Yeah, I'm gonna make it a bit smaller so you can see it. So this is the new template. What was I talking about? Yeah. So the input fields, oops, which are these two, you can pre-fill them by setting the value attribute. Where am I going? And we've got the ERB Ruby thing here, but by the time it gets to the browser, it's replaced that by like the text content. So it just immediately sees value equals some text and goes, okay, I'll pre-fill it. Oh yeah, shit. The new form is also going to break. Because when we go back to the previous one, where we tell it render post /new, so we go to posts new, it's still going to try and render this @post title.
But you're only supposed to show that after.
Well, but then it's just gonna be empty on
Well, both are kind of correct. So we don't have a value to show, but it is still trying to show it, and then it's exploding in the process. So it's a bit strange, but then in post new, so get post new, we need to do the same thing and give it an empty one to work with. Yep, it's quite weird. Okay, so maybe let's just put it there, and then we'll come back and explain what's happening, because it is quite odd. Okay, so let's just go through step by step what we changed. So we went to get posts create, changed the post to be at post, and all the other ones. We jumped to new.erb, put in the value.title or post.title. And to fix the posts new, we need to get post new and give it an empty post. We're going to explain that in a second. And if everything goes to plan, we go to posts new, everything should work. If I fill in a body, we should end up back on the same page, but it remembers the body. Okay, did everybody get this bit? Did anyone get submit?
Mine explodes when you put a title now, so I'm just trying to find out why.
Okay. Oops. Let's take a look. Something is going to post with the
name.
Yeah, I'm 37, so it's at post.
Here as well.
To the right, the one inside the brackets, because it's trying to look for the other variable.
Okay. Yeah.
So we good?
Yep.
Okay. All right. All right. So that. Okay. So now it works. Let's just temporarily comment out line 28. And if I go to the new page, it'll explode. Because it's saying undefined method title for nil class. And it's a new ERB line 6. So it's trying to run this code. Oh, that's cool. So it's trying to get the post title, even though we're on new, because the problem is we're using the same template for both the create when we're in, well, like when we're in the error state and the original state, we're using the same template. So the problem is the original one is still trying to print out the thing from the error, which is not quite what we want. So we need to kind of give it a blank one to try and print out.
Yeah, that would be the proper way to do it, not like, I don't know, like conditional variable assignment or something.
We
Yeah,
could, but it turns out this is just easier. We could do like only print this out if we have a post, but then we end up with like 20 different ifs.
It only creates a new post basically with that.
It does, but remember
And then it uses the variable at post in the new form.
Yep.
And plugs in the empty stuff.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of a hack.
But this
It's like tricking the
post
computer.
new, like, which is created there, that, why doesn't it have nil values as well?
It does have nil values, so post.title will be nil, and that's fine. The problem is if post itself, if post is empty, it tries to do .title on an empty thing, and the empty thing says, I don't have a title, that makes no sense. And that's also quite strange. Okay. But not overly, I again, one of those things that kind of like, you can see it happen, but don't worry too much about it. Because the pattern will come up a few times, and then eventually it kind of just, by seeing it several times, you get it. Okay, so next and hopefully last bit. It's still a bit rubbish. Oh, no. So it's still a bit rubbish because if I hit submit, it's giving me the opportunity to like do it right, but it isn't telling me anything. It would be really nice if we could put in a nice error saying, hey, please fill in the title. So the next bit, because we're running out of time, we'll maybe just copy paste. And it is in new. I'm gonna fix it up and then I'll put it in Slack for you guys. If host.errors.any. Alright, that'll do. So if you go to Slack and it's in classroom, I just copy it from there. I think that should work. And you want to put it, I think you can put it anywhere on the page. I tend to put it just after the form action, just because it's tidy. And if that worked, whenever you, oh well. What? Why is that? Oh, we figured this out last time why it did this, and I can't remember now what happened.
Well, it says each. Does it?
Yeah, the
mean
problem is
something?
it keeps adding the error, or it's
For
going,
each?
it's printing out each error, but the error is there 7 times.
Yeah.
That's not normal. It normally just works. I think there's something. What was it? It's always 7 times. Wait, does it get bigger?
The first one is 8 times. The title is 8 and the other one is 7.
Alright, I can't remember. I'll maybe try and figure out what happened there. But anyway, you get the gist. It's saying, so this post is an active record thing, and because of that it's magic. So whenever you try and save it and it fails, it will fill in this errors array and attach it to post. So in the template we can say if the post has any errors, that's what any is, it's just true or false if this is empty. So if there are errors, print out a message and then say for each error, full message to blah 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 blah, print out the error. And it's just text at this point. You can do fancier versions that like make the right form field become red and print out the message next to the form field, but this is the simple version.
Why don't we have else something?
I guess because you don't really
Like
need
else
it.
put the form?
Well, because we want to put the form there all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Because even if I've only got the title wrong,
Okay.
and if I arrive for the first time, I'm still just showing the form like normal. Title can't be blank. Okay, so is everyone getting at least some kind of messages appearing? Oh well. Okay, and so then that's the gist. We still need to do the same thing to the edit pages, because they'll have the same problem, but that's the gist. Okay, everyone, all good. Okay, so then just to wrap up, a bit of a summary. Yep, So one of the nice things Active Record also gives us is these validations. So that instead of us having to write our own, like, if title equals blah, then print out this, or if body is less than that. So we don't have to do our own logic, because actually every site has this on it somewhere that you want to check stuff. So they went, well, let's just make a reusable module. So we can tell Active Record inside the model class what we want to check, and then whenever we do save, it will run those checks. So in this case, we modified the create action, that instead of creating in one step, it does the save on an if. So then if it successfully saves, we send them to the show page, and if it doesn't successfully save, we re-show them the template. Which means we edited the template to keep the old existing values and print them out so they don't lose their progress so far. And we also print out a thing to say, just to tell them what the errors were. At the moment, the text of those errors is coming from inside the like built-in validation stuff. We can give it custom error messages if we really want. And you can translate them into different languages and stuff. But for the moment, it's just picking the default Active Record. It's not so important right now, it'll come up again later, but the errors get stored inside the post object in an array that you can do whatever you like with. Right now we're printing them out in HTML, but you could, I don't know, email them or whatever, or turn them into an image. You're free to do what you like with it. Yeah, and I think that's about it for validations. For validations. Alright, I think I'll finish.